The protectors of the Wood Adventure Series. Episode number 207. An exciting new activity. Alison stood up and looked at her watch.
It's only 8:30. We'll choose the plants and be off.
In 5 minutes, they had gently placed 2 overflowing tropical plants, some empty trays for seedlings, and the bike in the van. They were heading down Main Street when Abby asked,
"What's the big deal about biogas all of a sudden? This project has been going on for years. Why go public now?"
Wendy says that time is getting short. She sees the next few months as crucial to all our hopes and dreams.
Does she say how she knows this?
You know, Wendy, it's a million tiny things that other people don't notice or put together into a big picture. Partly it's her ability to feel the fragility and changes in nature, in her surroundings. The last time I saw her, she was very definite, even urgent.
Then why does she want me to sit back and be normal?
Alison took her eyes off the road to study Abby's face.
You're misunderstanding Wendy. Remember, you're the facilitator of this process. To be successful, you need an identity people can accept. You can't be a bizarre outsider.
But that's how I feel. Really. Bizarre outsider. Fits me like a glove.
That's why you need to work on being normal. You have to work on it. Struggle for it. It's not at all about sitting back and doing nothing. You couldn't do that if you tried anyway.
Abby made quite an entrance into the preschool, carrying a gorgeous hanging plant in each hand. She had to hold her arms out horizontally just to prevent the leaves from rubbing against her body. The long, angular chains of leaves hung almost to the floor. Only Kayla and Ned had arrived so far. All eyes turned to Abby, who cheerfully said hello and set the plants down carefully near the big windows at the side of the room. She quickly ran back to the doorstep and picked up 3 large black plastic trays, each one filled with 24 squares designed to hold individual cuttings. And then she returned to the group. Kayla and Ned were touching the new plants, feasting their eyes on these fascinating new living things. Rob stood near them in silence. Rose was waiting for Abby and stood in front of her as she entered the room.
What's this for, Abby?
Rose didn't look happy.
Well...
Abby replied slowly, thinking fast to defend herself.
We were playing Building a City, and Kayla wanted a garden and Frankyn wanted a forest. And we went outside to collect things, but we had no idea how to make an indoor garden or a forest. So I remembered that we had discussed planting and gardening activities when I was interviewed.
Abby felt like grabbing her plants and departing. She struggled to control herself.
Would it be okay if we made a garden?
Ned and Kayla had been listening to the conversation. Rob stood behind them, looking carefully at Rose. Abby remained silent, looking back and forth between her 2 bosses. She instantly knew that they were in conflict. Rob shrugged and opened his hands as if to say to Rose, "Well, are you going to give Ned an answer? You got yourself into this mess." The silence became very awkward. Abby saw an opportunity to change the dynamic, and looking Rose in the eye, she apologized.
I'm sorry. I should have spoken to you. I'm sure it's hard to understand the activity without seeing it yesterday.
But Rose didn't like that statement either, apparently feeling defensive about her absence the day before. She flashed an angry look at Rob, and he ignored her, saying,
"Yes, Ned. We'll certainly make a garden. And a forest, too. Abby's our activity specialist. Let's see what plan she has in mind."
Tiny ran into the room, followed by Glenda. Rob broke up the tense group by inviting the new arrivals to look at the plants. Jane and Franklin's parents called hello from the door, and their children joined the group. Lucy and her grandfather immediately followed. Abby hadn't intended to speak so sharply. She felt terrible about it.
Oh my God. What do I say now? Should I walk away? Rose, I didn't mean it like that. The truth is, I didn't think the activity was going well and thought of this idea late at night. I can see it was a mistake. What can I do to correct things?
Another parent yelled hello from the doorway, and Nancy walked right up to Abby and Rose and said hello. Rose turned to Nancy's mother. Abby pulled herself together and invited Nancy to check out the plants. She had lost confidence in leading the activity and described the plants without reference to actually doing anything with them. Rob took charge and announced that Abby would help the children make gardens and a forest to go with their city.
Tell us, Abby, how do we begin?
The children's eyes all turned to Abby.
Will it be okay if we all dig some soil and get our hands dirty?
What can I do? Yes, I do want to start. I want to go. I want to. Can I start?
Abby noticed that Ned and Nancy were unsure, so she said no one had to dig if they didn't want to. Rob quietly watched as Abby showed the children the trays. They trooped out the back door to the mulch pile. The children gathered round as Abby pushed the leaves aside and opened up a hole to the dark earth.
Look! A worm! A centipede! Let me see! Let me see! Where is it? Can I see? Let me see!
The soil animals don't want us to touch them. We only look at them and let them hide from us. The soil animals are good for the soil and good for the plants.
Abby dug deeper and began scooping out handfuls of the rich, deep, brown earth and filling the small squares of the plastic trays. The children became restless. Abby decided to hurry the process along and asked Rob to bring the plants and a pair of scissors outside. He nodded and hurried back to the house. She asked for volunteers to bring the trays out onto the grass. 6 children raised their hands. After separating them into pairs, Abby showed them how to each hold 2 corners and carry the trays together. Meanwhile, she asked Ned if he would walk with her, and he hesitated.
You don't want to carry a tray?
Ned turned to her.
I might spill. You would be mad.
No, I won't be mad. I promise.
The others don't think I know anything. No one will want to carry it with me.
Ned's voice was hopeless, as if his problems had been going on for a long time.
Everyone worries. Watch, one of them will spill, and I won't be mad.
And as if on cue, a corner slipped out of Nancy's hand. The flimsy plastic tray bent, and soil began spilling out of the small containers onto the grass. They met Rob on the open lawn. The new plants looked glorious in the sun, now shining high in the cloudless sky. Birds were singing and a warm breeze was blowing. Rob walked back to the mulch pile with Nancy and Tiny, and they refilled the spilled containers. Abby described the way the inch plant and the philodendron grew in long chains, divided into links by places where roots could grow. She made a few cuttings, passed them around, and raised her voice.
See those tiny roots? If they're in soil and water, a new plant will grow.
The children began to quarrel over the cuttings. Rob stepped in and separated them into pairs, each with a tray. Abby said that Ned would be her assistant and pass new cuttings around. Rob demonstrated making a hole with a finger and burying the rooted section of the cutting in the soil. He allowed 3 cuttings in each square. Ned eagerly ran back and forth with new cuttings as the pairs of children planted them. Rob firmed up the soil so that the cuttings stayed in place. As they finished this task, he brought 2 full watering cans that gave the trays a sprinkling until the water began leaking into the bottom of the trays. A whole hour had gone by.
As a child, I knew on a bright summer's day, the warmth of the sun was coming my way. The heat on the sidewalk felt ever so good. I knew that I would do all that I could. The years passed by in a blink of an eye. The moon goes racing across the dark sky. All I have left is the best I can do. It'll take all we've got to carry us through. That bright summer's day, we'll live on always. The great wide world and the powers that be carry us over the raging sea. The end of the line is here on a dime. The universe lives in a moment of time. All things journey the long winding way. Everything we do matters today. That bright summer's day, we'll live on always. The great wide world and the powers that be carry us over the raging sea.
Trillions of living things are everywhere around. Our lives are all planted deep into the sacred ground. There's everything to love and everything to fear. It's planet Earth in the universe and nature lives here. It's planet Earth in the universe and nature lives here. It's planet Earth in the universe and nature lives here. It's planet Earth in the universe and nature lives here. And nature lives here.